What's up, YouTube? This is the Fantasizers Podcast YouTube special for the draft lead up to the NFL draft that we're all looking forward to on April 28th, first round. And I got with me our betting expert, Brandon Lee. I am your goatee guru, and we are going to do a three-part segment here where we basically it's going to be like a dueling mock draft. We're going to alternate picks. Brandon Lee is going to have the odd picks because he wants number 9 for the stupid Seahawks, and I will take the even picks. So tonight on part 1, we are going to do the first 10. So if you enjoy it and you want to hear the rest of the draft, follow us. We will do it weekly leading up to our big NFL draft special, which is going to be April 27th, the night before for the first round. So without further ado, Brandon, you ready to do this thing?
Oh, buddy, I've been ready. I've been thinking about this all day.
All right, I'm excited. I think this brings a little bit of a new feel and kind of gets the viewers engaged, because not only are we doing our own mock drafts, which we will cover later on the draft special, like I said, on the Wednesday before the draft, but this gives us, we don't know what we're going to pick. We don't know who I don't know who you're going to pick. You don't know who I'm going to pick. And it's going to make us kind of on the spot have to come up, play GM for these teams, right?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, this is going to change everything. So it's one thing where I can think of, who I want to take at 7. You know what I mean? And exactly. I can kind of fix that draft to make it work so I get that guy at 7. It's all up in the air now. I love it.
Can't do it here. Exactly. Exactly. All right. So, well, without further ado, Brandon, hold on. The 2022 Fantasizers Podcast mock draft alternating picks is now officially open.
Oh, God.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And, Brandon, I want you to let me know when the pick is in, because I got something special for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what are the Jacksonville Jaguars' needs, right? Jacksonville Jaguars, they're pretty much heavy need is just the defensive side of the ball, right? They could use some defensive line, they could use some linebacker stuff, they could use some safety. But who is the best player in this draft?
Oh, I am sorry. That was not supposed to come, and I just gave away our secret. But that's okay.
Hey, the pick is in.
The pick is in.
The Jacksonville Jaguars select edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson from the University of Michigan. Big monster, solid pass rusher, probably the top prospect in the draft. I agree. I think that's where they go on draft day, and we'll see what happens. If he ends up ultimately becoming the top player in the draft, but I agree he's the guy that you got to go with here.
Yeah, I think it brings some flexibility and stuff on the defense. They need a lot of help on defense. Definitely.
Makes a scary tandem too with Josh Allen and Aiden Hutchinson off the edge. That's going to be rough for AFC South teams for many years, I think.
Gives them a little flexibility in the secondary too, if they can get to the quarterback, so they can maybe take a hit in the secondary and just cover for a couple seconds less than what they'll have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jacksonville is still a rebuilding team, but this gives them 2 building blocks on the edge, so I like it. I like it a lot. All right, so that's going to bring me up at pick 2 with the Detroit Lions, who played some really tough football last year. Just couldn't come away with the wins. A lot of games came right down to the wire, and they just couldn't close them out. But they got some directions they could go. Obviously, Jared Goff's probably not their long-term answer at quarterback, so you could look quarterback there. I don't think it's going to happen. As we've talked about, I don't think this quarterback class is quite as talented as some of the recent ones. I think there's some guys that have potential, but I don't think there's that top tier level quarterback that you would take in the top 5 picks. You know what I'm saying, this year. So that being said, Detroit they're trying to establish a winning culture there, right? That's what they're trying to do. Dan Campbell, he's trying to turn that team around that they've known losing for far too long. So when I think of that, I think of a high character player that comes from a winning organization or a winning school, and can come in with a good work ethic and really try to turn the culture around in Detroit. And when I think of a player, there's one guy that comes to the top of the list, and that is Trayvon Walker, the edge rusher. Versatile. He could play inside as well, but I'm going to call him an edge rusher from the Georgia Bulldogs.
Wow, you forgot to put the pick in, but
I did. You're right. You're right.
You're right.
Because I did it twice last time.
You did. That's right. So you already made up for it. Trayvon Walker. That's interesting. It's interesting. I would have gone a different route, I think, but
that's why we do this, right?
That
he's
leaves that guy that I'm thinking on the board for the Houston Texans.
So are you saying that the pick is in?
I am saying the pick is in for a team that needs every position. With the third pick in the 2022 Fantasizers mock draft, the Houston Texans select safety Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame.
Kyle Hamilton. I was not expecting that. That could happen. Absolutely could happen on draft day. We're going to find out in the first round just how much teams take stock into the 40-yard dash times, because Kyle Hamilton clearly has top 5 talent in this draft, right? I think we can both agree on that. The only thing that is going to possibly make him slide is the fact that he ran a really poor 40-yard dash at the combine. So, I mean, we'll see. And he's definitely got the talent. So
I mean, to me, I think Kyle Hamilton's the second best player in this draft anyway.
I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't argue that.
And yeah, he ran a bad 40, but you got to remember he's a safety, right? I mean, you got a little bit of cushion to give.
Yep.
So
box safeties are they're sought after more often than they have been in the past. It was like that hybrid linebacker. Yep. So yeah, I could see that. And Lovie Smith now in Houston, he in the past he used to play a lot of Tampa 2 scheme, but after going to college, I don't know if he's going to go back to that or if he's going to adopt a new style. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, I think him going there gives him some variety of where to use too. So it'll be interesting to see. I personally, I don't think Hamilton falls to 3. I think he's taking it 2, but
I could see that. I could. I just feel, I don't know. Trayvon Walker, to me, it seems like a good fit. So
it definitely makes sense. I could see it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so that leaves us with the 4th pick now. That's the New York Jets, the first of 2 first-round picks. And we'll see how much longer they have those 2. Apparently, it was rumored that they were possibly offering up the 10th pick for DK Metcalf. I read, but I also read the Seahawks shut that down pretty quick. But anyway,
they better have.
With the 4th pick, the Jets have some options here. Obviously, you want to protect your number 2 pick from last year, and Zach Wilson, so that all the offensive linemen are still on the board. They could definitely use an edge rusher. They could use some more secondary help. They have a lot of different ways they could go. They could use a receiver. But I think when you look at it here, you have to look at it from a couple of different angles. Yes, they need an edge rusher, but they'd be taking arguably the third best pass rusher on the board right now. Or they could take a top tackle. But here's where I think things are going to get a little crazy. This draft is not super top heavy with corners. There's very good corners, but it's not super top heavy. So if you want to grab your corner, you have the option to take the one that you think is the best in the class right here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. The New York Jets add to Robert Saleh's defense corner from Cincinnati, Ahmad Sauce Gardner.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny because, I'm a 49er fan, and I know Robert Sala's defense that he likes to run, and they play a lot of zone. And Sauce Gardner is more of a shutdown man-to-man corner, but I think he's talented enough to play in any system. I don't know what's going on here. Sorry about that. That was little air, air there. So anyway, so no, I think he's talented enough to fit in really any scheme, and I think Salah will find a way to get the most out of him. And think about this: they play in the AFC East with some very talented wide receivers. Stephon Diggs, who just got a long-term extension. Tyreek Hill is now in Miami. Jalen Waddle. There's a lot of good players. I expect the Patriots to add a weapon in this draft too. So you get a guy that can shut down a number one receiver or at least limit them. I think you got to take him. I think that's the right pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
So moving on, another team with 2 first-round picks, and you're going to get them back to back actually with your odd numbered picks. The New York Football Giants. What do you got for them?
Well, the Giants have a couple of needs as well, but I think if you're going to really get a full evaluation of what you have as a potential franchise quarterback, you have to protect him.
I like where you're going.
Right. So, if DJ is your guy, you got to find out. You got to find out now because this is the year to make your decision, right? So, I think the New York Giants know what they're going to take. They are filling out the card, and the pick is in. The New York Giants select tackle Ikem Ekwonu.
Ike Ekwonu from NC State, monster tackle. He's much more. He's a run mauler, but he's definitely polished enough in the pass game. And I think he's going to improve once he gets with some NFL coaches. Definitely strong enough to hold up at the point of attack. He's got good, strong punch when he comes around. Edge rushers with some speed, good feet. He can handle a bull rush. I think he can improve there a little bit, but I think he can handle it. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and I think the New York Giants are a very good spot for him. I like that pick a lot. Pick a lot.
It's a big need for sure. I think he helps both running game and pass game, and as long as Saquon stays in New York, I think that just prolongs his career in New York a little bit, a little bit more.
I agree, and I think you got to reestablish him. I think you have to
absolutely. Him. Yeah, we got to take the ball out of DJ's hands a little bit more. Take that pressure off of him. I think he's not the guy you put it in at the end of the game, but he's the guy that's going to get you there. So,
and the Giants have shown in their recent history, they've won a couple of Super Bowls, and yeah, they had Eli Manning who was throwing the ball pretty well, but they always had a consistent, solid run game during those Super Bowl runs. So I think that's a big part of their turnaround would be reestablishing that power run game for them.
Absolutely. Run game opens up the pass game, right?
Absolutely. And it's been that way for years and years. So it's going to bring us to the 6th pick. It's Carolina Panthers. And Carolina, they've been pretty transparent about their search and pursuit of a quarterback one, a franchise quarterback. I do think that they do it here. Actually, I do think that number 6. I think they're going that route because they have Sam Darnold. They seem to be comfortable with going one more season with him, especially with Tom Brady returning. I think they realize that their chance to win the division is probably not there anymore. So With that being said, I think having Sam Darnold in the fold is going to lead to this selection, a guy that's going to need a year or two to develop. And with that, the pick is in. The Carolina Panthers at number 6 select Malik Willis, the quarterback from Liberty. Uber talented player, but he's going to need some time. He played at a small school. He's got it. He's needs some refining in his game, you know. And one thing that he could really needs to work on is that 10 to 19 yard range down the field. He actually only completed 50% of his passes in that range, and that's not good enough at the NFL level. But if you've seen his workouts, you saw him at the combine, the guy throws a beautiful ball. I think you can fix him, and he's got all the talent in the world, higher upside than some of the other quarterbacks in this draft, and that's why I think he goes here at 6.
Yeah, I mean, no, I can't argue that. I actually agree completely with you. And I know when we did this, a couple weeks ago, it was a little bit of a different pick, or maybe it was the same pick, but different explanation. And I see Willis being that similar style to Cam Newton, that mobile guy who's big, got a big arm. He can make plays downfield, but he's also not afraid to take a hit and he can move. And he might be a little bit more mobile than Cam Newton, which is surprising.
And to go off your point, what you said, the explanation being a little bit different is one of the things I mentioned when we were talking about that is, if Carolina liked what Cam Newton brings to a team, they're going to really like what Malik Willis can do as well.
Oh, wholeheartedly. Yeah, no, I agree.
All right, Brandon. Well, with that, we're at pick 7, which is your second pick with the New York Giants. They took Ike Ekwonu, the big offensive tackle from NC State, with the number 5 pick. Where are they going here?
So the New York Giants, on their first pick, they gambled. Okay, they got a real good tackle. They need that offensive line. But they took a gamble hoping that this man would make it here. And they're smart. They're smart. They understand the one behind them. That's not their primary need. So they felt it was a very good gamble to take. And this man still being here, I think, is a steal for the New York Giants. With that, the pick is in. The New York Giants select edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeaux.
He's a very good player. I mean, we know the talent's there, right? We know the talent is there. Only there are some questions about maybe his motor, taking some plays off here and there, but we know the talent's there. And if you can really feel good about what his work ethic is going to look like when he gets on your football team, this guy has all the tools to be a perennial all-pro player. So if you're betting on upside, there's nobody in this draft that you can bet. He's risk reward, but there's nobody with a higher upside in this draft than Kayvon Thibodeaux. I like that pick.
Yeah, I think the Giants are thrilled with this take, especially at 7. Or 7. Sorry, I think they are ecstatic. Right, this guy brings me JPP vibes before the hand got blown off. This gives me you. I mean, you look at the Giants when they were that Super Bowl team, right? They had that protection. They had that quarterback who could make some plays. They had that running game. They had that defense that got to the quarterback. And I think that's what they need to get back to, winning in the trenches and just playing that dirty football where it's just, let's get gritty inside and let's just make these little passes happen. And I think if you can win that defensive line, man, you got it. You got to get to that quarterback, and I think he's got the best potential to get there.
I would agree. I think he's got all the talent in the world, and we just got to figure out, how much does he love football? How much does he love football? And these teams, they do the homework. They're gonna know. So we'll find out on draft day.
I think he's gonna love football once he gets that paycheck.
I would agree with you. All right, so we're on to pick number 8. That is the Atlanta Falcons. They moved on from Matt Ryan. Calvin Ridley suspended for the year. Brought in Marcus Mariota. Really kind of didn't do a whole lot else, especially on the offensive side of the football this offseason. And Arthur Smith, I think he knows that Mariota's not the guy long term. I think he wants to try to use him as a bridge to a future quarterback. However, I don't think that's going to happen right at this pick. I don't think Atlanta goes quarterback here. I think maybe they look at their second round pick as a possible spot to grab one. But what you got to do is you got to build the weapons and protection around a future quarterback, right? So if that's your plan, you got to take advantage right now and say, okay, when this guy comes in, what is he working with? And right now, outside of Kyle Pitts and Cordero Patterson, who is used more in the backfield anyway, there's very, very little to work with. And for that, I am going to say the pick is in for the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta selects Ohio State receiver Garrett Wilson.
Whoa.
Garrett Wilson. We did this a while back, and I had a different receiver going to Atlanta. But the more I thought about it, they have Kyle Pitts, a bigger body. He's kind of the safety valve, but he's also athletic and can stretch the field. You got Cordero Patterson that's going to, take those screen passes and different things to get the game going on, or, get the pass game opened up. But now you bring in a guy that's a polished route runner. He's got speed. He's got separation ability. Garrett Wilson has all the tools to be a number one receiver in the NFL. I feel like he's a better fit than the guy I originally sent to them.
I mean, I can definitely agree with that. I know who you took when we were doing this, was it last week or whatever, or during the weekend, I guess it was. But I can definitely see Garrett Wilson going there as opposed to the other one. That I completely thought that you were going with the same pick you took. And, that we'll get to him later down the line because he's not getting that much farther down there. But, I can't argue with it. I think that adds a little bit to it. I don't see the Falcons going after a quarterback. It makes no sense right now. They're in that rebuild, so let's just fill up those positions.
Absolutely.
And just get that little stopgap going until you find somebody you like. So,
they're a team that understands they're not competing for a title next year. So right now is your chance to load up.
Correct. Yeah, no, and I love that mindset.
Well, Brandon, it's the pick that you've been waiting for.
This brings me to the pick, baby.
Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. The pick acquired from the Denver Broncos in the Russell Wilson trade. Brandon, who's coming to Seattle?
Here is how it's going to go. The Russell Wilson era. What was the thing? The position that everyone wanted them to get. They wanted Russ to be protected, correct?
Absolutely.
They wanted him to be safe. They saw that he was running for his life his entire career in Seattle. Nothing's changing. They're not going with the offensive line. This is Drew Lock. They don't have any sort of money tied into Drew Lock. Are you kidding me? No, they are not going with the offensive line. They are building the Pete Carroll defensive side of the football. And they are taking a player who will be named after I say this. The pick is in. The Seattle Seahawks select edge rusher Jermaine Johnson.
I like the pick. I do. I think he's a very good fit there, and I would not be surprised if it happened. I do think when I look at the board, man, there's a guy that just sticks out like a sore thumb to me right there, and I think Seattle would jump all over him. But you can't argue with Jermaine Johnson. He was ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and he gets after the passer. And there's a lot of mobile quarterbacks in the NFC West now with Trey Lance, all but assuredly taking over the reins from Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco with Kyler Murray there. You got to put pressure on the quarterback, and Jermaine Johnson does it with the best of them.
Absolutely. And looking at him, I know as a Seahawks fan, there's like 5 guys that are still available that I'm like, let's go. Let's grab them. Come on. Take those second round picks you got. Take those third round picks. Let's do whatever we can. Move back in there. Get 5 first rounders. Come on, please. You know what I mean? But this is just where I see Seattle goes in the way that the draft has fallen so far.
Fair enough. Well, that's going to bring us to our final pick of part 1 of our draft. Again, if you enjoy it and you want to continue to follow along, tune in next week. We will do picks 11 through 20 before our part 3. We wrap up and do the final 12 picks of the draft, or the first round, excuse me. And then, like I also mentioned, on the 27th will be our NFL draft special. Join us. You'll have a mock draft from each of us. So we'll see, it's tough to grade a mock draft with trades and everything else, but we'll see kind of how it goes on draft day and who was spot on and who was way off. And, we'll probably be both of us way off, but hey, that's why we do this thing. It's fun.
That's exactly.
Pick 10, second pick for the New York Jets in the first round. And, we talked about it. If I'm doing my own mock draft, things fall a little bit different here. And I know who I'm trying to take at number 10. But that's the fun of this, alternating pick. We don't know where we're going to go. And there's a guy that has fallen to number 10 who fits a need. And I think I don't think the Jets can let him go. I know there's some other positions that they would have wanted to grab here, but I don't think he can go any further. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. The New York Jets welcome the massive offensive tackle from Alabama, Evan Neal, to New York.
Very nice. Very nice.
I got to be honest, I was surprised to see him on the board at this pick. But I could see the draft falling the way that it's played out here. So there is a very good chance. I do think he's a top 10 pick. I think he probably falls between like the 4 and 7 range, but it would not surprise me at all if he got here with the way that we've had this play out. So I think the Jets would be ecstatic to come away with Sauce Gardner and Evan Neal. I think that's a
home run. That's a transformation right there.
Absolutely. That's a home run right there. And I really wanted to go wide receiver for the Jets there, but I just couldn't pass up on the chance to take, potentially the top tackle in the draft.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I mean, I thought you were going to go wide receiver on that one as well, but I can't argue that pick at all. If he's there at 10, you got to take him. You just
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing. We know it's a deep receiver draft, especially towards, the top to second tier wide receivers. So I think the Jets, who also have an early day 2 pick, they could look to shore up that position with one of those day 2 picks, whether it be in the second or the third round. So Brandon, I there was some surprises, but nothing too crazy, right? I think we would agree that all 10 of these players, are possible top 10 picks. And probably the majority of them will be top 10 picks.
Yeah. I mean, all deserving of top 10 picks, in my opinion. I think the way this fell is more or less the most realistic. I mean, there's needs that they have, but they're not going for the actual needs. They're going best player on the board at that point, or best player on their board, I should say.
I agree. I think the most surprising pick, and not surprising, I shouldn't say that, but the one that maybe is a little bit of a reach, but you're gonna take a gamble on a quarterback is Malik Willis, right? His talent level is probably mid to late first round, but if you have a chance to get your guy, you go get your guy, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If they feel good about him, you got to grab him.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for part 1. We will kick it off again next Wednesday night. And we'll, like I said, we're going to run through 11 through 20, starting with Brandon making a selection for the Washington Commanders, their first selection with the Washington Commander name. And I'm excited to see where it goes. It played out pretty fun tonight, and we hope you join us next time. You got anything for him, Brandon?
No, can't wait to see you guys again. It's going to be fun.
All right, guys. YouTube special. Join us next week. Same time, same place. Until then, adios.
Peace.